You all know I absolutely hate Porsche. I think it is the worst company that has ever been ran nationwide. Now, you may ask why. I thought Ferrari was bad, but Porsche is even worse. Now, here's the interesting part about the company as a whole. You may say, well, Porsche's actions cannot be defined by the dealerships that represent them. As a matter of fact, I would completely disagree with this statement because Porsche as the manufacturer has quite a lot of weight on dealerships, but because they're greedy and because they don't care about their customers, they've gone down this hole like Ferrari and have become absolutely trash. That said, here is my latest GT3 Touring. You may have gotten a glimpse of this wonderful car because Porsche does make excellent product. Even though I hate them as a company, I still buy their product. Maybe that's why they keep ripping people off. Now, that said, we're gonna talk about this car today and what we've done to it to make it the ultimate GT3 Touring. Let's get straight into it. All right, guys, welcome back to Exotic Car Hacks. So today we're going to take a look at the GT3 Touring and some of the upgrades and modifications we've done to it to truly make it one of a kind. You may have seen that I had a Guards Red GT3 Touring, and I decided to basically part ways with it and instead bring forward this equally loaded but slightly different option GT3 Touring in chalk. Now, the Guards Red was more exciting on the outside, in my opinion, for this car, and the exclusive interior in white was absolutely stunning. It was different, it was unique, and it truly made it one-off. But this car, I decided to do something very, very different with this because chalk is a very understated color, but it's truly beautiful in person. So I had the chalk 911 Turbo S, you saw that, I got rid of it, and I really missed the color, so I decided to bring it back in a GT3 Touring. Now, this is typically a little bit different than the average chalk car out there because every part of the interior is covered in the extended leather down to even the fuse panel to the rear view and all of that stuff. It's all in leather with white stitching instead of yellow. Most people that opt for a chalk car will do yellow, and in my case, the secondary is actually white. I wanted that specifically for this car because I wanted to do a very understated and undertoned GT3 Touring. Now, this has obviously the upgraded $4,000 headlights and all the options you want in the car, including the PCCBs, the lift, the buckets, and all that stuff we've talked about previously. But then I thought the car is incredibly boring because it's not Guards Red, it's not in your face, etc. Now, I'm personally a bigger fan of the Touring. Based on production units alone, I believe the Touring's rarer, cooler, and I don't like the GT3 wing. I never have before, and I never liked it to date, even on the 992. I thought it was better on the 992, but just not good enough. So we took the base, like basically the GT3 Touring as a base here, and we did a couple of small, subtle upgrades, and I want to show you that. The first one is obviously the clear markers, an absolute necessity on any Porsche 992. Very, very cheap from Suncoast. You can get that for a couple of $100 and well worth it. Now, from the factory, we had the carbon roof and the carbon mirror. Excellent amount of carbon, not too much, not too little, because the whole interior is also gloss carbon, so it just goes straight through. With the wheel package, we decided to do an ANRKY wheel slightly wider than the factory, but in the factory sizes, so we were able to retain the 2021 setup from the tires and lowered the factory suspension just a bit to get that perfect design without going overboard slammed. Now, if we continue to the outside of the car, not much more was done other than a full PPF and, of course, the Porsche smoke taillights from the factory. So nothing to do here, sport design, whatever you call them, taillights. And now the interior, now we went a little bit crazier on the interior with a few things. So one of the reasons I got rid of the Guards Red car is because I don't drive these cars enough to care, and I really like the design of the GT3 buckets. So I wanted the GT3 RS seats basically, which are these wonderful carbon buckets, and so that's why I kind of upgraded the car to this particular car. Same MSRP, just the money was spent on buckets instead of the paint. So here you have, again, carbon interior, everything stitched with white stitching, and of course wrapped in leather. And then you have these beautiful carbon seats with houndstooth inserts, or you call them heritage, houndstooth, whatever you want to call them. Beautiful design and came out really, really clean. Now, purposefully, I was going to add some yellow touches to that, and I decided I'm going to keep this car's theme all about chalk, white, and very, very subtle yellow, not so much more. Other than that, that was basically it. The tachometer was white. I didn't want to add too much yellow to the interior, so I decided to stay with this theme of white and chalk. And then, of course, we went to BBI and added this wonderful cage. Now, people ask me all the time, why would you put a cage in a Touring? The rear seats are basically completely useless because there's no seat back there on the GT3. In addition to that, the Touring with the buckets mean that you can't really even put groceries back there or anything. And honestly, who uses their GT3 Touring to go shopping, grocery shopping? Is stupid. So the point that I'm trying to make is that this is completely empty space. And look at how much cooler this car looks when you're back here and you see this. This is like spectacular. It's a design element, and if you're looking straight in the car, it looks absolutely beautiful. I think this is a much prettier design, if you ask me, than many other things out there. Look at it. I mean, I think it's just beautiful. And I think a lot of people miss this. They really don't get it when it comes to like that cages are really mainly for design, as a lot of people don't actually race their cars. But I think this came out amazingly beautiful, and I wanted to kind of share it with you guys so you could see it. And you could really understand like why I'm a big believer of putting a cage in a GT3 Touring, even though this car does not intend to see any track time, to be fair. Like, I don't intend to take this to the track. I don't intend to do anything with it other than just enjoy it more from a design standpoint and a driving standpoint. Now, for the exhaust, I studied just about every single exhaust out there on the internet, listening to what other people had done. I decided to go with the Valvetronic full race system along with the race headers. Now, this is a big deal because Porsches are kind of boring sounding, but GT3s actually sound pretty decent. Now, I wanted an exhaust that would work with the original valve controller. I also wanted an exhaust that actually sounded really exciting and not overly loud for no reason. This is probably one of the best sounding exhausts I've ever heard on a Porsche. I'm gonna let you hear it. There's a lot of clips I'm gonna show you of the drive-bys, etc. But this does an amazing job, and I can't recommend it enough. The team at Valvetronic is not only incredibly useful, but I wanted to point out that I've studied every exhaust on the market for this car, and this is by far the best sounding one. Listen to this. Now, this is in normal mode. This is in sport mode. And then it's quiet again. Absolutely amazing. And the drive-bys are even crazier, which you're gonna hear at the end of this video. But I wanted to tell you that if you're looking for an exhaust for GT3, that is absolutely the way to go. So definitely check out Valvetronic. It's a company I hadn't heard of until I started really Googling on the internet and YouTubing. But I couldn't be happier with that exhaust, especially with the race headers, and I highly recommend it, so check that out. So if you've ever wanted to do a GT3 Touring, hopefully this video has helped you a little bit understand more about the car, what you should or shouldn't do to it. And of course, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and in the comments, let me know, what do you think of my new GT3 Touring? Was it worth getting rid of the guards red for the chalk, or should I have kept my red beast in the garage? Would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you next time for Exotic Car Hacks.